In a significant geopolitical development, China has vocally condemned the United States for what it describes as coercion following Panama's decision not to renew a vital infrastructure agreement with Beijing. This decision, perceived as a concession to U.S. pressure regarding the management of the Panama Canal, has become the latest flashpoint in the ongoing tug-of-war between the two superpowers over influence in Latin America. During a recent press briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian expressed strong disapproval of U.S. actions, stating, "China firmly opposes the U.S. smearing and undermining the Belt and Road cooperation through means of pressure and coercion." The remarks came after Panama's leadership opted out of the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), a central element of President Xi Jinping's strategy to extend China's influence through infrastructure investments across the globe. The BRI has seen China engage in extensive funding and development of infrastructure projects, including roads, railways, and power plants in various nations. While the initiative has successfully connected China with over 150 countries, it has also raised significant concerns regarding debt sustainability and environmental impacts in host countries. Lin highlighted the initiative's purported benefits, asserting that it has yielded fruitful results for both Panama and China, though he provided no specific examples. The backdrop of Panama's decision involves recent threats from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who warned Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino that failure to reduce Chinese influence in the canal area could result in repercussions from Washington. This aligns with a broader U.S. strategy aimed at countering China's growing presence in the region. Despite historical familiarity with U.S. intervention, Panama's leadership has signaled resistance to such pressures, with Mulino firmly rejecting discussions on the canal's ownership. Interestingly, there are indications that Panama may still seek a compromise. A possible solution could involve re-evaluating the operations of Hutchison Ports, a Hong Kong-based company currently managing the canal's operations under a controversial no-bid extension. An ongoing audit may facilitate a re-bidding process for these operations, reflecting Panama's complex navigation of U.S.-China relations. Concurrently, the Panama Canal has been facing operational challenges, notably a reduction in water levels due to drought conditions, which has led to transit delays. While these environmental issues have been leveraged by U.S. officials in their criticisms of China's role, it is important to note that they are unrelated to Chinese influence. As tensions rise, China's leadership is urging Panama to consider the broader implications of its decisions, emphasizing the need to maintain a stable bilateral relationship. Lin implored Panama to resist external interference and make the right decision, a plea that underscores the delicate balance of diplomacy in the region. Looking ahead, the situation remains fluid as both nations continue to maneuver for influence. The outcome of Panama's infrastructure agreements and its relationship with China will likely serve as a litmus test for U.S. foreign policy in Latin America and China's expanding footprint in global infrastructure. As the dynamics evolve, observers will be keen to see how both countries adapt their strategies in response to this increasingly competitive landscape. In a significant demonstration of political maneuvering, China's People's Liberation Army (PLA) has initiated a robust campaign aimed at reinforcing loyalty to President Xi Jinping among its senior commanders. This move comes on the heels of high-profile purges within the military hierarchy, underscoring Xi's ongoing efforts to consolidate power amid growing political challenges. The campaign, announced by the Central Military Commission (CMC), emphasizes the need for the PLA's top brass to engage deeply with Xi's political thoughts and military strategies. In a notice distributed to all military personnel, the CMC outlined the initiative's focus on the key few, a term that refers to senior officials who wield significant influence over critical military decisions. The notice highlighted the need for these leaders to not only learn Xi's ideology but also to embody it in their actions, reinforcing a culture of unwavering loyalty. We should focus on the key few to strengthen their learning and ideological transformation to truly achieve greater actual results in learning, understanding, believing, and application of Xi's military thought, the CMC stated. This directive reflects a broader strategy aimed at ensuring that the military remains unified under Xi's leadership, particularly as the PLA prepares for future challenges and strives to meet its centenary goals. The campaign is framed as a necessary step to unite hearts and forge souls, a phrase that encapsulates Xi's vision of a militarily strong and ideologically aligned force. With a renewed emphasis on combat readiness and ideological education, the PLA is also encouraged to engage in practical applications of these teachings, ensuring that political loyalty translates into operational effectiveness. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Canada is grappling with its own political dynamics as a task force has uncovered a coordinated campaign linked to the Chinese government targeting Chrystia Freeland, a prominent Liberal Party leader and front-runner to succeed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. This campaign, identified through WeChat accounts, has been described as coordinated and malicious, reflecting broader concerns about foreign interference in Canadian politics. The findings of the Rapid Response Mechanism, which monitors foreign influence in Canadian electoral processes, indicate that over 30 WeChat accounts participated in this operation. The anonymity of these accounts, combined with their significant engagement levels, raises alarms about the extent of foreign attempts to sway political outcomes in Canada. This incident is not isolated. Previous allegations have pointed to similar endeavors by China in past elections, highlighting a continued pattern of interference that Canada considers a severe threat to its democratic integrity. Freeland has responded defiantly to the revelations, asserting her commitment to combating foreign influence. "I will not be intimidated by Chinese foreign interference," she stated on social media, emphasizing the strength of Canadian democracy. This sentiment echoes a broader national resolve to address foreign meddling, particularly from China, which has been identified as a high-priority actor in attempts to influence Canadian governance. In a related development, Rockwall County in Texas is taking proactive measures to reduce its economic ties with China. County Judge Frank New has instructed local government departments to seek alternatives to Chinese-manufactured products, citing national security concerns and the Chinese Communist Party's control over manufacturing. This initiative aligns with broader legislative efforts at the state and federal levels aimed at safeguarding American interests against perceived threats from foreign adversaries. As geopolitical tensions continue to rise, both China and Canada are navigating complex political landscapes characterized by loyalty interference and strategic realignment. The PLA's campaign to reinforce loyalty to Xi Jinping highlights internal dynamics within China, while Canada's countermeasures against foreign influence reflect a commitment to protecting its democratic processes. Looking ahead, these developments suggest an ongoing struggle for influence and stability in a rapidly changing global context, with implications that will likely shape international relations for years to come. In recent weeks, the dynamics of the U.S.-China economic relationship have taken a sharp turn for the worse. As new tariffs loom and existing trade frameworks face significant alterations, President Trump's announcement of upcoming reciprocal tariffs underscores the precarious balance of international trade, particularly in relation to China, which has been a focal point of his administration's economic policies. The implications of these developments are multifaceted, affecting not only the bilateral trade landscape but also broader global economic trends. During a press briefing with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, Trump outlined his intent to impose tariffs on countries that impose taxes on U.S. goods. This move is part of a broader strategy to ensure that the United States is treated equitably in trade agreements. "We don't want any more, any less," Trump emphasized, reflecting a desire for fairness in international trade relations. However, the ramifications of such a policy could trigger a cascade of retaliatory measures from affected nations, heightening the risk of escalating trade wars. This latest round of tariffs follows Trump's previously imposed 10% levy on all products from China, part of an extensive trade war that has already seen hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs applied across various sectors. The administration's recent policy shifts, including a temporary reversal of restrictions on low-cost products from China, indicate a complicated and evolving approach to trade management. This back and forth has generated confusion among retailers and logistics providers, highlighting the challenges of navigating the current trade environment. Moreover, the impact of these trade tensions is not limited to the U.S. and China. The ripple effects are felt globally as countries with existing trade relationships with either nation reassess their economic strategies. For instance, Trump's potential tariffs on Japan and the European Union, which have been criticized for maintaining higher tariffs on American goods, could lead to significant disruptions in established trade flows. Analysts warn that such actions could undermine the delicate economic interdependencies that have shaped global markets in recent decades. As the situation unfolds, the economic outlook for both China and the United States remains uncertain. China's exporters are already bracing for a tougher market in 2025, with the country's crystal industry, once a shining example of rapid growth, now facing declining international demand as global economic conditions worsen. In Jiangsu province, where the crystal industry thrives, local businesses report a stark contrast to the booming sales of previous years as rising costs and reduced consumer spending power abroad take their toll. The interconnectedness of the U.S.-China economic relationship means that domestic issues in either country can have profound implications on the other. For instance, China's economic woes are compounded by a decrease in charitable giving, as declining corporate philanthropy and public trust undermine the vibrancy of its philanthropic landscape. The Amity Foundation recently reported a substantial drop in donations, raising concerns about the sustainability of charitable initiatives that are increasingly seen as vital to addressing social inequalities. As the U.S. and China navigate these turbulent waters, the future of their economic ties hangs in the balance. The strategies employed by both nations will likely shape not only their bilateral relationship but also the global economic order. Observers are keenly watching for any signs of reconciliation or further escalation as both nations grapple with the consequences of their policies. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether these economic ties can be mended or if they will continue to deteriorate, influencing the livelihoods of millions on both sides of the Pacific. As geopolitical tensions continue to escalate in the South China Sea, the Philippines is actively pursuing collaborations with external powers, most notably the United States and Canada. Recent developments underscore a concerted effort by Manila to bolster its defense capabilities in the face of what it perceives as increasing assertiveness from China in disputed waters. In a significant move, Canada and the Philippines are finalizing a defense pact aimed at facilitating larger military exercises in the South China Sea. Canadian Ambassador to the Philippines David Hartman confirmed that negotiations for a status of forces agreement are reaching completion. This pact will enhance Canada's participation in multilateral drills alongside the Philippines and other allies. Hartman noted, "We have been vocal in confronting the provocative and unlawful actions of the People's Republic of China in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea. We will continue to do so." This agreement reflects a broader trend in the region as the Philippines under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. seeks to strengthen defense ties with friendly nations. This strategy is increasingly seen as necessary to counter China's expansive claims over the South China Sea and the assertive military posture that Beijing has adopted. The Philippine military has already engaged in joint patrols and military exercises with the U.S., Japan, and Australia, and the addition of Canada to this coalition further illustrates a unified stance against perceived threats. The context of these military collaborations cannot be overlooked. China claims nearly the entirety of the South China Sea, a vital global trade route, and has been ramping up its military presence in the region. This aggressive posture has not only led to confrontations with the Philippines but has also drawn criticism from other nations with competing claims such as Vietnam and Malaysia. The Philippines has accused Chinese vessels of illegal activities, including the disabling of location-transmitting devices to avoid detection, further complicating the security landscape. In addition to the defense pact with Canada, the Philippines has been engaging in a series of military exercises with multiple nations to reinforce its commitment to a rules-based international order. The Philippine Department of National Defense has emphasized the importance of these partnerships in enhancing the country's external defense capabilities. As tensions rise, the Philippines' strategy appears to be one of collective defense, forging alliances to counterbalance China's influence. However, the ramifications of these developments extend beyond the immediate military implications. Analysts suggest that while external partnerships bolster the Philippines' defense posture, they also risk exacerbating tensions in the region. The ongoing military activities could lead to misunderstandings or accidental clashes, heightening the risks of conflict amid an already volatile situation. The geopolitical landscape in the South China Sea is rapidly evolving, with the Philippines at the center of a strategic pivot toward enhanced military cooperation with allies. As both the U.S. and Canada deepen their military ties with Manila, the implications for regional stability remain uncertain. With the Philippines navigating its relationships with external powers while managing its complex dynamics with China, the coming months will likely reveal whether these partnerships will yield greater security or further entrench conflicts in the region. In conclusion, as the Philippines solidifies its alliances with Canada and other nations, the balance of power in the South China Sea continues to shift. The effectiveness of these partnerships will depend on the ability of the involved parties to manage their strategic interests while avoiding escalation. The situation remains fluid, and continued developments will be crucial in determining the future of security and stability in this contentious maritime theater. In an unexpected shift, European Union leaders are signaling a pragmatic approach as they navigate the increasingly complex relationship between China and the United States. This diplomatic pivot comes at a time when tensions between the two global powers are rising, and the EU finds itself in a unique position to mediate and engage with both sides. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen's recent remarks, which suggest the potential for new agreements and the expansion of trade ties with Beijing, mark a significant departure from her previously hawkish stance. At a recent gathering in Brussels, von der Leyen expressed a willingness to engage with China, stating, "We could even expand trade and investment ties." This statement, made without prior consultation with other EU officials, has raised eyebrows among diplomats who view it as a notable softening of the EU's approach to China. Following her comments, Beijing responded by appointing veteran diplomat Liu Xie as its special representative for European affairs. Liu, known for his confrontational style during his tenure as ambassador to France, is expected to adopt a more assertive posture in future dealings with European nations. Analysts at Trivium, a consultancy focused on China, interpreted Liu's appointment as a signal that Beijing may be preparing to take a firmer stance in its interactions with the EU. Putting a consummate wolf warrior like Liu in the driver's seat suggests Beijing may be preparing to get more assertive in its dealings with Brussels, they noted, foreshadowing a potential escalation in diplomatic exchanges. The backdrop of these developments is a geopolitical landscape characterized by heightened scrutiny and competition between China and the U.S., particularly in areas such as technology, trade, and military influence. As the EU seeks to balance its relations with both powers, von der Leyen's remarks suggest a desire to carve out a distinct European role in global diplomacy, one that prioritizes economic cooperation and stability over confrontation. This evolving dynamic comes as the EU prepares for high-level summits where discussions on trade, investment, and climate policy are expected to take center stage. The EU's approach appears to be a calculated effort to leverage its position as a major economic player while advocating for multilateralism and dialogue. As von der Leyen stated, "We must remain open to dialogue. This is how we can navigate today's challenges." However, the EU's more conciliatory tone toward China does not come without its challenges. Internally, EU member states exhibit varying degrees of skepticism regarding Beijing's intentions, influenced by concerns over human rights, trade imbalances, and security threats. Countries in Eastern Europe in particular have expressed wariness toward closer ties with China, complicating the EU's unified front. Looking forward, the EU's diplomatic balancing act will likely be tested as geopolitical tensions continue to escalate. The effectiveness of this new approach will depend on the EU's ability to foster meaningful dialogue while safeguarding its values and interests. As both China and the U.S. adjust their strategies in response to each other's moves, the EU's role as a mediator will be crucial in shaping the future of international relations. In conclusion, the EU's recent overtures toward China reflect a pragmatic shift in its foreign policy that could have far-reaching implications. As the world watches closely, the unfolding interactions between the EU, China, and the US will undoubtedly influence global economic and political landscapes in the years to come. The path ahead may be fraught with challenges, but the EU's commitment to finding common ground could pave the way for a more collaborative international order.